Are we live? Oh, we're live. Ah,
Sing the
we
song.
normally do all the
Where's
fancy
the music?
stuff.
What's
Do
happening?
you want the music? You want to run it back?
Sing it.
This
Acapella.
is your spoiler warning.
Not that one. What?
That's my favorite one.
You're so out of practice.
That's my favorite one. No, we don't do AI anymore. We don't do AI. Oh, only
Bro.
plagiarism. Only copyright.
On program.
We don't need robots to steal for us. We steal ourselves.
Is that actually why you stopped using that one, or did it just become
Yeah.
overused because everybody was doing that?
I don't know. I don't like. I don't like AI. I thought it was cool for a second, and then everyone everywhere
you went
started
way
using it.
more all in on it than anybody else did. I
thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun novelty thing, which it still is to me. But there's a certain guilt by association where
Now it's
like
loaded.
a lot of people start thinking it's unironically cool, and I'm like, guys, this is not a hit single. This is a joke. It says Eddie G.
I mean, you did write the lyrics.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only halfway funny part came from me. No. AI
You
is,
should just
AI
take
is
that
what it
same
is.
thing. You can completely, like, you have the capability of remaking that exactly as it is. Use the AI as inspiration. You can sing it. It basically sounds like your voice anyway. Find you a drummer, and then, have one of those. Well, I guess maybe you do now, but I'm just saying, like, you could completely reperform that whole thing and make it not AI and be cool with it.
What Michael's alluding to is that I have once again dabbled in playing music, so that's a lot of fun. I've missed it more than I would have otherwise let on, even to myself. But hey, guys, we're alive. We're still here, allegedly. It's been a long time. Skeleton Crew has come and gone. We didn't ever get around to talking about the end of that.
Did we not do the finale?
No, we didn't do the finale.
Man.
Last episode we did, yeah. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it, but nobody, it's not like everyone hated it. It was just kind of like whatever. I thought it was fun.
I still stand by. I think Andor is number one, but I think Skeleton Crew might be my number 2 favorite. I think it might beat out Mandalorian for me. I think I'll say that even more if it doesn't get another season. Because I think Mandalorian is going to be further tainted potentially by low-budget movies and additional spin-offs and things. But if Skeleton Crew stays what it is and doesn't go anywhere else, it could just be, and I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and that's the way I feel about Andor season 1, which is why we're gonna do this. The rewatch. Obviously, this show is called On Program. We started it. Andor rekindled my love for Star Wars enough to do this show again. And so this had to happen, even with cross-country moves for literally all of us happening or happened and all of that, and just life and the world doing things. That's all gotten in the way, but we had to dust it off for Andor to do a rewatch, and then of course with season 2 coming, I'm very excited for this this documentary to come out. I'm really hype for it. Andy, how the heck are you? It has been a very long time. What's
I'm
up?
Good. Yeah, I'm
You just
great.
messaged in the Discord that there's no announcement we're live. It should do that automatically unless something happened. I don't know. But either way, we are live, so it will go out eventually. But yeah,
Sure.
there's only
I wasn't sure if it was instantaneous or like...
Someone text Travis so the entirety of our audience knows we're live.
Seriously, I'm like, where are our fans? Something's wrong here. No, I'm great. I had a really big cross-country move and am settling in and haven't been much into Star Wars until rewatching, preparing for this. I dipped my toe into Skeleton Crew, and I didn't like the temperature. I pulled my foot out, and it just wasn't for me. I don't think it was bad. I can't say because I didn't watch it, but
How much did you watch, just out of curiosity?
1 episode.
Like 1 episode? An episode?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that checks out. I can see
And
that.
it's not.
I mean, I do
It's
feel
not
like they
fair.
kind of.
That's not what I recommend people when they get into shows. I don't say watch one episode and you got the gist of it. I know it probably. I'm sure there's something there for me, just not right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, Oh, Michael's made an announcement. Okay, so we're live. I mean, we're all just here. We're just having fun. It is what it is. Yeah. So, Michael, what about you? What's been going on in your life, intra or extra galactically?
Nothing. Everything.
I could still make you break character. That's good. Character being yourself.
Do I have a character? No.
Yeah. Michael
no,
B.
we've chatted watching. We chatted through Skeleton Crew. We already talked about. I actually really liked Skeleton Crew a lot. As much as I joke that it would be safer if they didn't make a second season, I would watch another season. In fact, I mentioned this, but like, it has some of the best HDR and Atmos content of any Star Wars thing I've seen thus far. If anybody has that, as
in
a
what
capability,
contexts have
really,
you had
really cool? In what?
You said in what context have you been able to test that all out? I was just curious what caused you to notice all
have
of
the
that.
movie theater thing. I talked about this.
Yeah, I know that was the joke.
Yeah,
It comes
I'm not
up a
trying
lot,
to be
and I'm
like,
really excited.
We brag about it, but you can brag about it when you finally come visit me.
We'll do an episode.
Yeah,
we need to do an episode
absolutely.
in the
We
Death Star.
I think my TV has a camera. Like, we could sit in the movie theater seating and watch something live while on camera. I don't know that it's
for
going
the
to be a great
record,
angle, but
just to clarify, that wasn't me calling you out for bragging about your equipment. It was me calling out that the character that you are is the biggest tech head to have ever existed. And so you just know all the specs of everything and love getting into the weeds. And we love that about you. So.
That is true. The first part, I don't know. Other than that, not much. I think I've been posting on the Discord. I've read a lot of Star Wars books. Oh, look, now the app gets on here. Now I delete my post. It was
to that
sleepy.
point. To that point, I have started reading the new Andor tie-in book.
Good.
You said it was boring in the intro. I have not found it to be the case, but I am excited for our Alexander Freed experiences to flip, because I'm certain that you will both love it by the end because it's Alexander Freed. But that's how it usually goes for me. Is it takes me a while to give a crap, and you're locked in right away. But I'm like locked in already. They're talking about committees and subcommittees and
no, I'm actually. I thought the beginning was boring. I think I have 4 or 5 hours left on the book now.
Oh wow, okay.
Audiobook wise, so I'm pretty deep into it, and it's still, as far as like Freed books go, it's not high tier for me, but it is. I love what it's doing in terms of really fleshing out the politics and the things that I feel like nobody else has really talked about, or you haven't really thought about those first few weeks and years after the Empire took over. What happened to all the separatists? Like, we know what happened to their leaders. What happened to all the planets? What happened to all the senators? Where did the regional governors come from, and how did that pan out? And was Palpatine really like not wise to the fact that Bail Organa and Mon Mothma and Padme and all these other people were like not really his friends when it came to him and all his extra power? So how is he dealing with all that? The dynamics are very interesting. I think my favorite part, which you would have already seen at this point in the book, is exploring the dynamics between Bail Organa and Mon Mothma specifically, because they are very much not friends in this book, and it's so interesting because you never thought about that being the case, because we've only ever seen them as part of the rebellion together, and they do sort of explain why that is in the past. But regardless, it's really interesting to see.
If there's one thing that revolutionary folks love to do, is argue and fight with other revolutionary folks. It is kind of the biggest thing they've got on their plate. Sometimes it's even easier to forget the space Nazis because you're more worried about the minutia. So,
and that's 100% what this book is giving you.
I need to read this book because I love
Book club?
Bail Organa.
Book club. Yeah, well, I mean, frankly,
one
of the most disappointing parts about this book, I think, is that, at least thus far, Bail Organa is more of a main character than Mon Mothma. I was really hoping this book to be about her, and it's pretty 50-50 on both of them. I actually think it leans towards Bail Organa at this point. And that
She
may
gets
not
a
be the
lot
case
to
through
do,
the end,
though.
but well, you see when you get further in the book, it
No, I
really
mean
dwells
in
on
Star
him.
Wars generally. Like
True.
I
Yeah,
think
she's the icon. She's the moment.
yeah.
Regardless,
Whereas
if you
Jimmy
like Bail
Smits is
Organa,
just
I
out
think you'll
here
like this book.
dying.
Yeah.
Jimmy Smith's biggest moment is off screen, except for that one blurb from a certain point of view book, which always makes me cry, which I would encourage everyone to read, especially Andy, if you like Bale so much. That last short story is killer in the best way. Okay, so we're here for Andor, allegedly.
Why
Hit
did
me
they
with
name
one
him
of these.
Bale? I'm sorry.
Because Jimmy didn't want to use his own name. It was like a whole big thing. No, I don't know.
Bale.
Because there's no bras in space, and Bale is John.
Was it a I always thought it was maybe a mistake or like poor writing when they announced the people that were running for Chancellor in episode 1, and they list Bale Antilles from Alderaan, and I was like, wait a minute, did they just? And then later they're like, oh no, Bail Organa is the senator married to the queen, Leia's dad. But then like Antilles, we have Wedge Antilles, and then I don't know, Captain Antilles, I don't know his first name. That's the first story in the that book you just referenced, actually. But anyway, I just like, how many Antilles are there and how many Bales are there? Because evidently there's a lot.
At least 3
of those 2 names.
At least 3 of each, I mean, shoot, I don't know. Because you also got Bale Bonds, and I don't know. It goes on and on and on. But anyway,
Bale's a pay.
No, I'm sorry.
Bale's a pay.
Yes. That's good.
Content.
That's good. We're back, baby. We're locked in, baby. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're doing well, Travis and maybe Dylan, and all of our respective.
I mean, we have no
spouses.
viewers currently, but
No, I know for sure. I could see the goose egg. Yeah, we'll blame it on the avian flu. Okay, so let's get into Andor. How this is gonna work if we stick to it, like we haven't been able to do with any of our other plans, is we're gonna watch arc by arc, 1 week at a time. So what we've come prepared for is the first 3 episodes, the first arc, and what was dropped initially when they released the show. So we're going to do spoilers. I'm going to break my AI rule one more time.
This is your spoiler warning. Here comes the truth, gonna give you chills.
Does that go away? I thought it went away. It doesn't go away.
You have to be the one.
Well, I didn't put it up.
Chat,
There we go.
take it down.
AI didn't take it away. Okay, so we're gonna spoiler the whole thing. So that's your warning for the year-old show to our 0 viewers. Okay, Andy, you first, if you feel like it. General impressions going back to these first 3 episodes. Anything jump out at you?
I mean,
anything you weren't expecting that isn't?
I have specific notes episode by episode, but overall it was very refreshing to rewatch. I have never rewatched this show. I'm not one to tend towards rewatching anything, but I'm enjoying it because it's so good and so much better than all the recent content, in my opinion. Yeah, and I have specific notes, and when we're ready to talk about, I know Mike will be prepared a synopsis, but I do have more specific words.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just meant like overarching things or anything that is new on rewatch. Michael, do you have anything in that same category?
I don't know. It was a lot. On one hand, I agree, especially rewatching it. This is, oddly enough, the first time I've rewatched Andor as well. I agree with people who assessed that it's slow to begin with. I love it because I know where it's going, and you'll never get back that not knowing where it's going and just being interested for the sake of interested. So it's hard to really compare, but I do agree. The first 2 episodes are pretty slow. I think it opens really well, and then it's a lot of just sort of mundane day to day get to know this slice of the empire, and it's really cool and it's all super important and it builds. But I do understand the critique that it's a little slow.
Yeah,
I think that critique is so, what's the word? Like,
stupid.
Short sighted.
subjective. It depends on what content you actually enjoy, because, and maybe
We
I
can't
just
say
went into it.
the word I was thinking of anymore. It's not. It's fallen out of vogue.
Oh my gosh. But I went into the show the first time knowing that people thought it was boring. So maybe I had like my mature hat on of like, it's not boring at all. But I really didn't, I really don't think it starts off boring. Um or
Yeah,
I'm
me
slow. I
neither.
mean, maybe the second episode is only 30 minutes long. So like,
Yeah.
how slow is that really? That doesn't resonate with me, but again, it's subjective.
I don't have any keys on this desk. I just looked around to try to find some, but I would jingle them. This is me jingling them because that's the only thing I can think of. Like, there's so much. I was gonna say my overarching thing that I noticed here is it is such a show don't tell show. You know, like it's just
So little
it's
dialogue, like
it's
period.
so good, dude. Like
Mhm.
the beginning. I
Zero
mean, just
exposition.
bro, it's amazing, and it's just like. It's so rich. All the facial expressions, and we'll get into it in the synopsis, but just like you can read so much into the performances as opposed to like, you know, we got to go to the moon of Jalorkpa to get the pie from Jax's Cantina. And that's where you'll find the chest for Morlana, whatever. And I'm just like, I don't dislike that. Obviously, we got a show, right? But like, man, it's just so good to have something that has that level of quality that you don't need to grade it on the Star Wars curve. It was so great.
It's okay
But
to dislike that.
I mean, I dislike it, but I hate that I like it. You know what I mean? It's like I split my brain. You know, I'm like, I love the moon of Hexlana. I have the action figure and I played it in KOTOR. Anyway, big old bowl of member berries, right? So that's what I'd be munching on. Okay, Michael, you have a synopsis for me? I have been informed.
I have one for episode 1, and maybe
Great.
I'll get the second one out while we're talking, and then the third one, if we make it that far, will just be chaos. So,
The episode was,
All right.
so that's fine.
Right,
It's just
here
action.
we go. All right, you ready for it?
Go.
Episode 1. No, I'm not doing that. Episode 1 is titled Casa, which also, just before I hop into it, I forgot about the subplot of Andor's sister.
So I was gonna say, well,
It goes away.
I didn't forget, but that's what I was gonna say was, you know, you said like we forget not knowing where it's all going, right? Because this show does such a great job of wrapping up almost everything, but also leaving it open ended. But it doesn't wrap that up. To your point,
No.
it is wide open. The only thing it wraps up later on is Marva says, "Stop looking for your sister." But that's it,
But that's
right?
not even. That's like episode 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
I
even
have
think.
forgotten to.
Again, we're rewatching through the Narkina 5 arc, and they haven't mentioned anything about it in quite a while. And he's
I don't think
essentially
it gets
given up
mentioned the
looking.
rest of the time. Yeah.
I don't think he mentioned it the entire rest of the series. So we'll see. I'm interested to see where that goes, but it does feel like a red herring. And if they meant for that thing with Marva to actually be like, hey, it's done, it's over, I don't know if that was successful or not. I'm hoping that they don't drop that and he gets back into looking for his sister in season 2, for sure.
Me too.
Okay, anyway, episode 1, Casa. Mi casa, su casa. I should have made that joke. Dang it.
I think he just did.
Opens in... I just did. I know. I meant,
That's right. Yeah.
in retrospect, when writing this, I try to be quippy. Anyway, Morlana 1. The show begins with Cassian. Apparently, his middle name is Jaron, according to Wikipedia. Never heard that. But Cassian Jaron Andor going to a strip club because you got to know he's not a good guy, apparently. He's on Morlana 1, but he's looking for his sister, so it's cool. It's cool. Unlike the security guards who are there, who are verbally accosting him, we learn pre-more security. Oh, go on, Andy. Go for it.
I gotta stop you. I have like 5, 10 like little ticks before we get to where you're already at. So
I mean, we
just
could come
wanna-
back to it, but go for it. You go for it.
Because when are we gonna come
Cook.
back?
You
Are
got
you gonna
notes.
do your
Go for
episode
it.
1 synopsis and then
I was
do-
doing it, but you go.
No, I
for
think
it.
I think that's good. You know, that's fine. Andy's the one with the cutoff here, so she wants to talk. Let's let her talk. Let's go. Dish.
Yeah, I run this shit. Okay, so
And
I
I'm
felt
keep
like
running. I'm gonna keep running, but I'm never running out of money. I'm white. Tragically so. Continue, please.
anyways, I made a note about how the intro to this series is such a sensory experience, not experiment. And I was reminded the name of the planet or the town. You just said it. I don't remember.
Morlana 1.
Milana 1. We enter and there's not like music. It's like the rain pitter patter and the people, and
Also sounds good, Namos.
it reminded me of the description in Freed's book where he talks about like the acid rain
Yeah.
and how much we all loved that description. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this show is like that where it's all ambiance, and I loved it. And the brothel slash strip club, whatever, I thought that was cool too because it was like adult Star Wars, like we're sort of asking for, but it wasn't too far. It didn't
Yeah.
show too much to turn, another demographic away from the show. So, and Diego,
I think that's hilarious too because I made the joke about this in like
demographic.
Outlaws, the video game, that it's incredibly tame for being about the Star Wars underworld, which we've actually had rather well explored in a lot of these other things. And like Slave Leia was kind of the third episode. Sorry, it's like this is not a foreign concept to Star Wars. I know what you're saying. Like this is more of an adult step, but at the same time, it was also sort of getting back to the roots of parts of the Star Wars universe are dark and greasy.
And
It was
I mean-
unapologetic though, and yeah, it's great.
unapologetic, and also, I mean, the tone, like it was
Yeah.
very kind of dark and dank, more dank in this place versus the bars that are very upbeat and colorful in the other movies. It felt more adult to me.
Because I feel like Star Wars generally is very much like if you sit and think about it for any more than 10 seconds, there's a lot of deep, dark things going on, right? But if you just look at bright lights and aliens, you'll let a lot of that go. And there's always bright lights and aliens around, so it's very easy for people to not pay attention to what's happening. Whereas this one is just like he's at a brothel looking for his sister, and they're talking
Who's working
about
at the brothel.
Yeah. So it's like we're in it for sure.
And there was the dancing lady on the hollow, but we've had that since Clone Wars. So I mean,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my own button that I can click and I buy it at the Disney shop. That's what I want.
Yeah. Downloadable. Yeah. Never mind. Continue.
So there's security guys there, pre-more security, which we learn is a thing in Star Wars, and they're mad because he showed up after, and he's nice, and they're not, and he gets service, and they don't. And I feel like there's a life lesson here.
It's true. Just like
We also find
showers,
out-
people sleep on showers. Like if you find yourself in a situation like that where you're not getting the attention you might be wanting, showers goes a long way. You'd be surprised how many people need to know that.
You're off the rails.
Not me.
I got exactly one bullet into the synopsis.
You missed this.
I'm glad I didn't
Hi,
put too much
viewer.
effort into the other ones. We're good.
All right,
This
go
is gonna
ahead.
be a
Continue.
really
I'm sorry.
Long podcast. My goodness.
No, we're gonna keep it moving.
Okay. I do think it's important to note, though, that there was a woman working there from Canary, and the reason later on his mom tells him to give up on his sister is he's like, they're all dead. Everybody died. There's nobody left from that planet. Clearly, that's not true.
Fact
just
check
as a
false,
point out.
Marva.
Right. And why are they all dead, Marva? What did you do, Marva? All right, so he leaves. He leaves the
Yeah.
brothel, and he doesn't
That's
find his
2
sister. He's
lies.
leaving, and then the security guys, who evidently find it more entertaining to like follow and accost him than to stay at the brothel, they follow him, and a
Coward.
fight ensues, and then he accidentally kills one, and then straight up executes the other. And that's the
And
end of the
there's-
opening for Andor. We have set the stage for who this guy
Thank
is.
you.
He's
Andy,
a
you got
loose
any notes
cannon
on
who
that?
doesn't take
'Cause I
anything from
do.
no one.
There's so much more to
Go
unpack
for
here.
it. Do it.
I mean,
Rewind.
he kills the guy via headbutt, right? The
Well,
Which
first
is
he
guy?
hits him
awesome
and he-
because
No,
it's
no, no,
very
no, no.
easy to do that, and it never happens in Star Wars. If you hit somebody right here, you can end
I
their
was-
life.
I was unclear if he actually broke his nose bone or if he hit him and like phased him back, and then he fell and hit his head on like a bolt on the
I
wall.
mean,
But
either way.
either
Either
way,
way,
And
that
it
these-
can
wasn't
happen.
exactly intentional, but he wasn't exactly playing around either.
And these things happen in physical altercations, and he failed to de-escalate, right?
Mhm.
But it seemed like a lot of self-defense at the start. Like,
Agreed.
you're
He
assaulting
seemed rather
me,
justified.
you're hitting me, trying to rob me. I'm gonna make my only escape I can, and then he's left with this like impossible situation where he just killed that guy and he didn't mean to. And I think we would all like to say none of us would execute that second guy, but we weren't there. Like, I would love
I
to
don't
say
know.
that I would never ever do that, but I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy being targeted.
I don't think you're meant to look at what he does and kills the second guy as. I'm pretty sure, I would argue, the whole point is for you to like look at this and go, this guy's not a very good guy. Like, that was kind of bad. This
No.
was a tough situation, but he made the like bad guy decision in that moment. And I feel like this is part of his character path. But Ed, what do you think?
No, I'm agreeing with you halfway in that he's not a good guy, but that's my point. For this whole show does away with the duality of ideals. Like, it's great. It's so good in that respect. Like, it just, there is simply context and, the environment and how you react to these situations. And, you are a result of your circumstances. And of course, how you are as a human will impact how you respond to these given situations, right? No one thinks that Cyril would respond the same way that Andor would, but there's very little doubt that he was going to kill that guy, and it's also very difficult to understand a world where he's not an idiot for leaving that guy alive, right? Because that pig's going to squeal. Like, that's just all he's going to do. And like Andy said, I don't know if we love it. I don't know if I would do it. I certainly wouldn't endorse it, but
Yeah.
in the long
But
line of
they're,
people
like-
I'm crying about, Pre-More Cop number 2 is definitely not top on the list.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of
and-
context we learn that makes this an important decision. Like, we learned that Cassian had a record and he was in jail, but also, if I remember correctly, he was in jail because he was basically protesting his father's unjust hanging by clone troopers. That's why he ended up in jail. So, like, he has a record, so he can't go downtown with these guys as they're joking around and bring him down and just, delaying him in what he's doing, because he knows he's going to end up in jail. And he can't leave this guy alive because as he knows he's going to report on him. But then, unfortunately, he doesn't really do anything about the mess. He's also on the planet illegally, but he doesn't do anything about the mess he caused. He leaves it and ends up basically having the same thing. They find him, just takes a little bit longer than if he left the guy alive. So,
I mean, but
I
let's
think
be
that's
real. If
what's-
it wasn't for Tim Carlo's punk ass, it wouldn't have happened. Like, it's a
Yes.
pretty good it's a
Okay.
pretty good strategy. If it wasn't for
if it
and
wasn't for the
leaving
fact that as Marva
scene-
chides him, he told way too many people about where he was from.
That's true.
And leaving the scene as it was can also speak to his mental state at that time. It would have been a lot more calculated had he like tried to clean up or stage a scene there. And like,
Mhm.
there's a reason that crimes of passion often result in lessened sentences because that was a crazy situation there. And the guy, the manager or the superior,
Yeah, his boss. Yeah,
He
the Grand
later,
Inquisitor.
like, on the money, calls exactly what happened. That
100%.
they targeted a guy with dark features who they shouldn't have messed with. Period.
And
It's
also,
Wisdom.
like,
That guy was
yeah,
wisdom
he was
incarnate.
100%.
We all
correct.
know that guy. We all 100. Michael, I'm not gonna like dox what you do, but we both do things like it. We all know that guy. We all know that guy. Like a lot of that guy. And it's just so funny. Like, gosh, man, that dude. And so I think of, I don't know if anybody's ever played the Far Cry games, but in Far Cry 5, there's an option at the very start of the game. There's a secret ending where if you don't put the handcuffs on the guy you're sent to arrest and just do nothing, the game ends, and it says like sometimes the best decision is to just walk away. and it's like I just think of that where like if Cyril had just shut the F up like and just done what he said, like I don't know, maybe Palpatine lives happily ever after, you know? Like who knows? It's just crazy, man. But okay, anyway, so yeah, so the inciting incident happens. I again, that's what I was talking about, just the facial features, just seeing everything. It's not spoken. It's not like you are dead. You're going to reveal, so I have to kill you. No, it's just you just see it. You can see the cop realize he's about to die. And he's like, he starts begging and all. It's just brilliant. It's so well done, so well executed. I love it so much. Mandalorian could never. But
Wow.
But yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, tell me I'm
Show
wrong.
could never.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, they kind of do it in the very first episode of Mandalorian. They just stop doing it from that point on.
That's fair.
The first
Okay.
episode of Mandalorian has like no dialogue, and he straight up kills like multiple people.
In
closes
fairness,
doors on their face and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about like.
Are you saying Mandalorian could never because he doesn't have facial features? Ed, because he's wearing a helmet. I would argue that that's an even more impressive challenge. The amount of communication.
Right. I'm talking
and,
about
emotion they
needless
communicate with a
exposition,
blank
but
stare.
well put. Well put. Okay. Anyway, continue on.
Right.
I want to keep going.
So then we cut to Dang Ferrix, where we meet B2 Emo, who's another lovable droid whose entire personality is being to Emo, and we love him, and it's great.
I think his whole personality is honesty, and he's tired, which
He's
I
so
love.
tired.
He is so
tired.
tired. He's such a delightful young man.
He poor droid probably should have had his memory wiped a long time ago. Probably reset that sucker.
It reminds
Poor
me
guy
of
was
like a
running on fumes.
19-year-old Chihuahua that's like still hanging on. He's like, do you have enough energy to tell a lie or do you need to sleep? He's like, I will need to sleep.
That's 2 lies. Mama Marva. It's so great, man. God. Okay.
We
continue.
love B2 Emo, and I don't know how they keep doing it, but B2's fantastic. We get a little flashback. I didn't annotate the flashbacks. We just see like clips through this episode of him like, oh, we see a child on a planet, and there's no dialogue. Okay, great. And they don't bother even translating anything they say at that point.
Okay,
but literally,
so
this
do
is
we
just a
think-
flash.
Do we think that's coming back? Do we think on the last episode or whatever, or they're gonna like release the subtitles once it's all done or something like that? Or do you think it's just
I don't think it's important. I don't think it's important at all. Again,
Okay.
facial expressions
Clip it,
and
chat.
context clues. I think they're completely sufficient. You don't need to
You
know what
heard
they're
it here
saying.
first. I
more
wonder if
interesting
it
that you
is. I wonder if it's gonna be something else. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see later on. But you're right. Maybe it isn't. It doesn't have to be. That's for sure. That's the beauty of it.
Upon first watching, I was immediately intrigued by the flashbacks by Kernari because it is so mysterious and you're not told exactly what you're
they
watching.
still don't tell you what happened. It's still a mystery.
It's so rich though. The costuming, the set, the casting, it looks very, very beautiful. I felt like.
Andy, how much are you up on like exactly what happened and what went down and what the whole timeline of everything was going on? Because I had to look it up through second rewatch, and it's more interesting the more I remember.
Just dish, because I don't go for it. I don't know where you're going with this. We already did the spoiler warning. Cook.
So we haven't got to the point yet, but eventually they see a ship, right? We don't know much about Kenari, but clearly there's like a bunch of kids here, no parents. So where's the family? We later see that it was some sort of a mining planet that's been abandoned and probably destroyed. And then we see a ship crash, and the ship is a CIS ship. It's a separatist ship. It has a separatist logo like all over it, and the people that come out of it are wearing separatist logos. But the timeline is that this particular event takes place several years before the separatists separate from the Republic. So it's a Confederate Independent Systems ship prior to the Clone Wars.
Time travel.
And the Republic is chasing them, and they talk about it.
The Republic is chasing them, and then later Marva, when they're justifying why they're gonna basically abduct Andor and take, she says the kids killed Republic officers. So
maybe they just don't know, and they assume it's like,
It's possible, but this is the sort of question. Is it seems like what happened was this was some sort of potentially a Republic false flag operation. Like this is some sort of war crime kind of thing. Palpatine's probably working in the background, trying to set up the conflict between the Separatists and the Republic. And part of it might be that he's sort of inducing this war crime situation where like they killed a bunch of people on a planet and murdered a bunch of kids and trying to blame it on the Separatists.
That'd be very interesting.
Some of the theories of where they're going with that. Which is
it'll be
why
very
she's
interesting
like,
to see.
nobody survived because presumably they killed all the kids as a part of like, oh, look, you need to, the war needs to happen. And also why he needed to escape. Also why they were wearing like gas masks and stuff.
I know you're not supposed to ask this, but why are they yellow?
I think that was the poison of the gas or something. Like the whole thing was there was some sort of gas, and it seems like they were going to like either the gas was occurring to like cover up what had already happened on the planet, and they were just trying to like clean up the kids that were surviving, or that ship was supposed to crash, and that was what was supposed to be like, now everybody dies. But it seemed like the fact that the Republic officers, quote unquote, or the Separatists, like immediately wanted to shoot anybody on sight for even showing up, like kids, implies something nefarious was going on for sure.
100% the implication of nefariousness. I think I like it so much because at this point, like if it were a lesser show, I would say it doesn't make any effing sense, right? But because everything else makes such a high degree of sense, I'm like, I just don't know. Like, and I'm excited to find out. Because I feel like a lot of the theories, you make an interesting case, but you can also poke holes in it. And so it's just like, I'll be very interested to see where they go with it. But also we have a lot more ground to cover and we're making shockingly slow time. So let's go ahead.
One last tangential point, Ed.
Please.
Completely unrelated to the show, but still Star Wars related. Your microphone, in the position it's sitting right now, looks kind of like R5D4, and I feel like on the forward face of the microphone, if you put stickers, it would look like an R5 unit.
That's a good point.
I have been thinking this whole time, I've been thinking the microphone looks like a chubby cigarette.
So like I was saying, too. Star Wars. He's over here thinking of death sticks.
I don't want to sell you death sticks. I want to keep going with the synopsis.
Okay. All right. So we get sort of like a day in the life on Ferrix. Andor goes, or he talks with B2. B2 tells him what all has been going on since he's been gone. He fixes him. We get to sort of establish some more things about who Andor is, his skills and things. And then Andor meets up with Brasso, and they have this really cool interaction where he sort of convinces him to be an alibi, and then Brasso kind of ones up. It was really cool, sort of like our friendship. Clearly they've been through this before, and it was a good relationship and character building.
Dude, Brasso's amazing. I cannot wait to see him in season 2. Like, he's awesome. He's a real one, the realest of the real ones, for sure.
Yep.
Do you see when he? Never mind. Nope. No, that's episode 3. We can talk about it. Real quick. No, we'll do it later.
Cable around the ship.
Yeah, the cable, dude. Yes. I'm like, whoa!
So good.
Yeah.
All you see is him walking away. Again, they don't have to tell you any of that happened.
Yep.
Okay.
God, the show's so freaking good. All right, keep going.
Now we're back at Morlana 1, but now we're at Pre-Mor headquarters, and we meet Cyril Karn, the well-tailored true believer in corporate-sponsored bureaucratic law enforcement. And he's very, very concerned about the 2 dead security guys. His boss, on the other hand, who seems completely reasonable, although I think, to your point, Ed, this sort of does away with the good guy, bad guy thing, because we look at this guy going like, yep, he has 100% correct read on this situation, and he knows it. And while yes, he's totally sweeping it under the rug and doesn't want to do the paperwork, like he's right. So it's like he's not a good guy, but we kind of agree with him.
He's a
And
pragmatist.
the more the show
right?
goes on, the more we agree with him. If you go back and watch this the second time, that whole speech, you're like, Cyril,
like,
if you
Cyril's
would just
the
freaking
most
listen.
Cyril's the most idealistic of anyone we see in this show.
Yeah.
At least, no, I think generally,
Saw
like
Gerrera
all
shows
the
up
way
at some
through.
point, but sure.
But even he is not idealistic. He's pragmatic to the extreme, right? Did I just mute myself? No. Okay, cool.
No, you're here. Anyway.
Yeah. Cyril's great.
So his boss points out these guys were known to be tools, and clearly somebody they shouldn't have been, couldn't have afforded, drinking illegal drinks and stuff like that. So he proposes a parade in their remembrance, nothing too big, sweeps the incident under the rug, and then he leaves. And then Cyril blatantly ignores everything he said and goes on a crusade. And some of that's a little out of order, but that's fine. Then we go back to Ferrix. We meet Bix, who's awesome. Apparently, I don't know if you guys watched the interview with Tony Gilroy about season 1, but that scene with Bix where she's fixing what looks like a pod racer engine, or she's pulling parts off of it, was apparently the actress's audition scene. So that particular scene is was very, very rehearsed and worked on really well. Cool. And it really establishes who she is. We sort of learn through indirect communication that they were probably dating or something at some point. They had some sort of relationship, and then we're introduced to the buyer. And so she's kind of explaining how things go, and he's like, no, I need to get out of here. Again, he doesn't really say I have to leave the planet, I need money to pay off all my debts and I got to go. But all of this is sort of discussed through context, and it's pretty good. And he has something super valuable that he thinks the buyer would want to buy outside of their normal operating procedures. So anyway, that's Ferrix. Oh yeah. And then we meet Tim with 2 M's, the jealous boyfriend.
Really? 2 M's?
Tim with 2 M's. Now you know.
Yeah.
Tim.
Well, all of these have 2 letters. Like even Marva is double
Marva.
AARVA. Yeah. Star Wars, man, you gotta have those double silent letters. A lot of them. Ferrix, 2 R's.
I made a note that Tim, even call me crazy, he seems pretty chill and normal in this first episode. Yeah.
He's not a bad guy. He's just an idiot.
He up to this point, he's got no crime. But he's not yet. Not in the first episode.
And he seems like a justifiably jealous boyfriend too at this point.
Yeah.
He seems concerned about Bix, and I wrote this down. Cassian says she's tougher than both of us, and he said, I'm getting tired of hearing that. I was like, okay, we aren't tired of hearing that. Why does Bix
Andor is clearly
all the time?
In his own head, and he's just super focused on not, getting caught and leaving it. But you're kind of I don't know, this Tim guy seems.
And also, this is what I'm saying. I love this show because it doesn't preach at you. It paints pictures of characters that are very believable. There are a lot of people, you want to hate Tim. We all want to hate Tim, right? I get it. But the amount of that's a real thing in life where someone's like, oh, there's people breaking into X, Y, or Z thing. Let's call the cops. And then 3 people get shot, that's the right thing to do.
Or if you heard your
contexts, I mean, there are all kinds of scenarios where this sort of thing is very believable and would play out. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but when what happens to Tim, we all hate him, but then you see Bix's reaction and it kind of reminds you that's a real person. All of these people are so real, and it's a very lived in world. I get the joke you're making, but these characters are immensely believable is my point. Yeah. They're multifaceted and they're not caricatures in any way. And it's freaking beautiful, man.
Well, and to your point, Ed, we all would have done what Tim did. You have a significant.
I'd have shot that cop before I thought about calling the cops on that. Okay, I'm just going to say that. Don't quote me, but I'm just saying.
Your significant other has a deadbeat ex that keeps coming around asking for money and favors and is clearly getting your significant other in trouble. And then you find out that they're wanted for murder, and you're like, well, I can solve this problem. I'm going to just turn the guy in, and then we're good to go. it doesn't seem like it's really a problem in the long run. It just so happens that he underestimated how much the town seemed to like Andor.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough.
I feel like there should be a separate charge for what Cassian did. But anyway, it's fine. Keep going. Let's move on. Let's move. What were you gonna say, Andy?
But what you were saying to the characters being so believable, I made a note that the same is true of just Ferrex in general. That I feel like it's a place that is still running right now. Like I feel like it still works even when I'm not watching it because it's that believable. Versus like the Ahsoka show or the Acolyte. I feel like those like sets they don't exist when I look away. So it's just amazing how they managed to do
Old
what
buddy
they did.
dings the
Those are both
dong every
true.
day,
That's
right?
all
Like,
true.
I want to be that guy.
It's all true.
Yeah,
I
straight
want
up.
to, I would be so
I want to
good
make
at
that drum.
Yes.
I could make.
I want to. I mean, when he hits the stormtrooper off the roof, well, that's later. Never mind.
Spoilers.
But dude, come on. Oh man. Oh, come on. All right. Okay, keep going, Michael. We'll finish episode 1 before long.
Bix, Tim with 2 M's. Oh, there's this sort of like throwaway scene where Andor talks with these guys he owes money to, and it was kind of comedic. It was funny because like the big guy, he's like, "You're letting him boss you around," kind of thing. It's funny. Bix climbs through the garage and up through the tube and does the code breaker thing or whatever. She's like doing Morse code on a wall panel and calling the buyer. It's cool.
And you get to meet those guys too, who I love. They
the
are
garage shopkeeper guys.
Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
that their arc over these episodes is so tragic and awesome. I mean,
I
can't wait to
remember
see what happens in
completely
season 2.
missing who the heck they were the first time I watched this.
Mhm.
Again, they barely talk. I don't even know how much we get their names at any point. But
Dude, I work
especially
from the
the son.
finale. I work from the finale backwards. So like, you look
Yeah.
at that kid's face in the finale,
yeah,
and you just work backwards. I don't know his name. I don't need to know his name. I see it on my Instagram stories every day. I mean, it's just like you know that story, and it's real. It's real. But yeah, anyway, keep going.
We get another small flashback. This is where we see the ship crashing.
Yeah,
and the
we
kids
can skip
are all
all the
getting ready to go
Kenari
do
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Bix calls the buyer. More flashback. Andor talks to the guy in the shipyard about the ship that he borrowed when he killed the 2 guys, which he doesn't say, and then he's
That's
switching out
Jamie
the memory
Tartt's dad
logs.
from Ted Lasso. I don't know if Andy you caught that. Yeah, that was
No, I didn't.
that was awesome. That's Jamie Tartt's dad. Yeah, very cool. All right,
Oh.
continue.
And then episode 1 sort of ends with Cyril finding out. So the Wikipedia article says that he already knows it's Ferrex, and so he puts like a request out for information on Ferrex about somebody from Kenari. I don't think that's correct.
Yeah, I don't know
I
about
think
that, but-
I think that he puts out a request for the entire sector about people from Kenari, and it's not
Yeah.
until Tim gets it, as do like entire other planets. They all get it, and they kind of made a deal in the episode about the fact that like, you really want to go that far and just like tell everybody, ask everybody about it. And he's like, do it, make it happen. So he does, and then later on,
He gets on next door, and he's like, "Someone was on my porch." Yeah. Anyway,
he paid to have his listing
yeah.
promoted or whatever. He's like, man, everywhere, put it everywhere.
I bet
Looking
you
for
pay
a
for
human from
Bumble
Kenari
don't
with
you?
dark features. I don't even
What's
know what
up,
that
Andy?
means. Dark features.
Hi, Travis in the chat, and B2 did get peed on, and it is ridiculous.
Oh, that's true. And he shocked him. That's true. I missed that.
Oh, Travis, I miss you too, buddy. It's good to see you again, man. I'm glad you're here. Yeah,
We didn't talk about the trash dog things in like robot suits. It was, or not robot, like rubber costumes. That was kind of funny.
They were cool.
They were cool. They were well done, but they are like
janky,
clearly
but
actual
yeah.
dogs in costumes.
Which I yearn to meet the dog that's chill enough to wear an entire latex suit. But yeah,
Body latex.
because
yeah.
it is not
Please.
mine. It is not mine. Okay, so I think that's episode 1, right? Let's we got a half an hour or so to get through the finale and all this. So let's speed run a little bit here.
Sure.
Let's
Speed running.
Yeah.
Okay. Episode 2, we finally meet Marva. Oh, yeah, there's a flashback, whatever. Marva, who basically starts scolding him about telling all of his lovers about Kenari. we
Can't
get to
do
the
it.
point where, huh?
I don't. I'm just lipping. Come on, keep
Shut
going.
What?
Tim sees the request for information on somebody from Canary, and apparently he heard or overheard people talk about Canary. So he calls in and said, "Hey, I know somebody from Canary. I think it's this Andor guy."
Lisa called the cops on black
Yep.
people.
Um,
Can't do it, Tim. You
and
can't
I
do
don't
it.
remember if this is before or after. So like, there's this whole sequence where Tim asks Bix out on a date. She says no. He sees her, then like she goes off and calls the buyer, and then he sees her meeting with Andor in the bar, and then
And he's drinking
like,
too.
it's one of
so
those
we can, like,
super cliche
another-
moments where
That's another thing, though. You know, we all want to dance on Tim's lifeless street body, but you know, it's
no, we don't. Ed.
my wife
Relax.
did. My wife was like, "F this guy." She was hot, dude. It was funny. She's like, "You narc." I was like, "All right." Anyway, but no, I mean, again, he made the worst
I would
decision
be
of his life,
dead.
but he was drunk, so you know, is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm so
And-
sorry
and
to
to be
disappoint
fair-
you, Travis. If you're talking to me, I did not. Unless
No.
it was
I think
Michael.
any of us
Yeah,
reference Final Fantasy. No,
I have failed you, but I have accidentally
I have
succeeded.
failed you. Anyway, and there was this cliche thing where like they have an altercation or something, and like they touch hands, but if you're listening to what they're saying, it's clearly like a very non-romantic thing, whatever that's going on, and he sees that and it's just like boyfriend jealousy intensifies.
Communicate, Tim.
Yeah,
Let's talk
no,
about
but
it,
it's a
Tim.
super
Yeah.
cliche movie thing and show thing, so it's fine.
Look
And
at
then
don't
she
know,
comes
it's-
back.
It-
And then
it's
we
pretty
have the
real
first-
life that Tims don't talk. You know, have you ever met a
Yeah.
Tim? They don't. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. At some point, we have the first rule-breaking George Lucas ever sex scene in Star Wars. It happened.
Why? Because she wears a bra.
Nah, yes, that's why. That's the break, the breaking the rules, which you don't even
Yeah.
see except like that it's visible through her shirt that she's. You
People
know,
talk about that, but George
so-
Lucas put a bra on Leia 2 movies later, so we can
he
move on.
did.
Yeah.
But that was all she was wearing, so that makes it okay. Obviously, Ed.
Yeah. Just want to tell these
Uh,
people to jerk off and move on. I mean, geez, Lou. All right, let's go.
Moving on. Let's see. Something happens with Cyril. See, this is where my
Yeah.
notes ended.
That's
More stuff
fine.
happens
All
with
right.
Cyril. Oh no! This is the part where Cyril gets that other guy, the other.
Yeah, the most
the
loyal
kindred
piglet in the
spirit.
pen, right? He's just
Dude,
like,
yes.
oh my goodness. He
You
just
almost
like,
feel happy
amazing.
for Cyril when they meet. You're like, oh, he found a friend. Yay! They're both psychopaths together on their crusade.
Wilbur.
So they
no,
get like
this guy
12
is
guys
all the way,
together.
man. Yeah, and that speech. Can we talk about it? Like that was awesome. Just like,
Which one, Cyril's
Never-
speech or his speech?
yeah, no, Cyril's, where he's just like,
Oh.
there are big moments where we all have to join hands and run into the abyss or whatever.
It was pretty funny.
That's why
No,
Cyril
that's
was
not till
driven.
later.
But this is my point: is that he was only driven to act this way because his mom wasn't around to shovel Captain Crunch in his face. So that's probably what did it, or the lack of firm parenting. You know. All right, we move.
Andor
Spare
gets
the
the
Captain
Imperial...
Crunch, spoil the child.
Andor has some sort of like a wrecked ship clubhouse that he goes to a couple times, and that's where I think we actually meet him with.
That's their
Me
ship.
too, at
That's
the
Clem
beginning.
and Marva's ship.
Oh, okay,
You see it in the
Yeah.
flashback. Yeah.
makes sense. So that's where he gets the box, which I also think would be a fun desk ornament.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. There's
Looking at
plenty
you,
3D
3D
models out
printer.
there. I know there's a lot of them out there. Don't think I wasn't tempted, but I'd rather have the boots. I told you. And
That
then
sounds
we get another flashback. Then we meet the coolest character in the show, Luthen Rail. We see his really cool Fondor Hallcraft, heavily modified with a little AI droid thing. does some cool stuff. He lands like way outside city and sort of Darth Maul style. Actually, no, he doesn't go on a speeder. I forgot. He walks, and then he meets like the friendliest dank Ferrixer on the planet on the like school
The
bus riding
lonely
in the
guy.
planet. The guy who just like wants
Yeah.
to be so like, man, I talk about believable characters. I'm like, the introvert in me is cringing at this guy. I'm like, you're so nice. Please shut up. You're so nice. Leave me
Yeah,
alone.
like,
I want to sit
the-
here and not talk to anybody. Please leave me alone.
That's how they get you, dude. Like, yeah, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
it's great. You know, what do you do? Don't want to say. I get it. Me, I'm in widgets. I'm a widget man myself. Like, gosh. Anyway,
let's see. Andor gives B2 comms, and they talk about why he needs comms, and that turns out pretty poorly. Marva,
yeah, so let's just move on basically
yeah.
to, unless there's something that jumps out at you, I'd really like to talk about the final sort of action scene there and all that leads into it, because you get,
No, I
again,
think we just covered everything. You're right.
so many bits and pieces of so many things of the show don't tell, you know, like Cyril's complete ineptitude as a tactician. If it wasn't for the sergeant, we would have had a much shorter episode. Luthen just cooking from start to finish. I mean, just the fact that the way he handles every situation is awesome. I love his character so much. He's so smart and very clearly just the dagger that the revolution needs. It's so cool. But
The
I mean,
only other
honestly,
thing that was
man,
in that episode was
go ahead.
Andor sort of haggles with a guy about Passage trying to get himself off, or he was actually trying to bring Marva and B2 with him, and they were trying to leave.
Yeah.
So he sort of like haggles, and that literally goes nowhere.
Right.
Just more establishing who that guy is and that they're friends, I guess.
Yeah,
That was a
and it
cool
shows that he.
interaction.
Yeah, it's like he showed that. I think the show does a good job of illustrating that, like, yeah, he tried a couple of things. You know, it wasn't just like this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this. Like, it's a very organic plot developments. But once you get to the warehouse, and then you see like when Cyril and the rest of the cops are tossing Marva's apartment. I mean, man, like, I don't know. It's so awesome to see the incidents that lead Marva to where she ultimately goes, right? And just the way this show weaves in and out. So like that Cassian inspired Marva but doesn't take credit for it, and Marva goes to her grave not knowing that Cassian did, Aldani. I mean, I love this show so freaking much, but I don't think you get any of those moments if you don't have her, having her apartment tossed in such a sort of, humiliating fashion. But then even her sitting there while they're all dinging the wind chimes or whatever, and she's just like terrorizing these scared little cops. It was awesome. Marva.
Are you doing
Andor.
the summary? You want me to keep on?
I'm just talking about what I liked, man. I'm just saying what I love. This is like
Damn,
that.
Michael B. Let him
I
talk.
told you. I said we won't go shot by shot anymore. I mean, it's just like it's the action, It's kind of all resolving at this point. But what stuck out to either of you? Andy, you have notes. Have we hit a lot of your notes, or are there yet notes remaining?
No notes left.
No notes. Just like
Cooked.
solid, flawless.
No notes. 8 left no crumbs.
No crumbs. One crumbless bowl. All right, Michael. What you got?
You want me to stop going notes and just talk about things that happen in
I
general?
don't know, man. Go. Yeah, no. Do the synopsis then, I guess. I was just I thought
does
we
your
were kind of
heart
at
say?
I thought we were
No,
at a
I
point
can-
where it
I
was the
can
final
ad-lib
episode. It's sort of action at this point, right?
Yes.
Unless you want to, But anyway,
Ironically,
do
the
whatever you
gist was not a lot happened in episode 2. It was just more slow burn, and it was a short episode. So that's why I was
Right.
sort of struggling to find points. I'm like, nah, it's not important. None of it really matters.
Right.
So,
So getting to Ep 3 where everything
Yeah,
does
yeah.
kind of pop off. That's why, yeah.
So I think important to note, Bix and Luthen do meet. So she does actually know
Yeah.
what he looks like. That happens. She tells him, hey, bummer, Cassian's blown. They're looking for Cassian. More people are showing up. She finds out that Tim with 2 M's was the one who sold him out. So that's kind of a bummer. They kind of, I think their dating relationship might be in hot water at that point. And then that's when the Premor guys show up, and they're really cool looking, like
problem
miniature
solve themselves,
They look like miniature gunships, in
Yeah.
just like shape. They're really cool.
They're little trapezoid
Also, just
cars.
for the record, I feel like anybody who is only normal amounts of into Star Wars, I think the fact that this is corporate security and they like barely mention the Empire at this point and all that is sort of on the sidelines is actually kind of confusing. We love that, but somebody like my parents who've seen all the movies and some of the shows, they're like, what the heck is Premor security and what corporate security? What is this and where are we? And is this Star Wars at this point? And I think it feels more like Star Wars and gets more into Star Wars later, but because it is so devoid of those things, if you were expecting a lot of Star Wars or similar tie-ins, this show would be confusing. Doesn't make it a bad show if you go into it not expecting that, but if you're going into it expecting what all the other Star Wars series gives you, sort of establishing and making sure you feel like, okay, this is home, this is Star Wars, we're here, and now tell a story, this does kind of the exact opposite. And slowly builds you up to, oh yeah, by the way, there's like TIE fighters and Imperials and stuff like that.
I think that's super refreshing about it.
Agreed. Love it.
You would just have to pick up on the one comment I think that the superior said about having a meeting with the Empire about something about the crime, or am I remembering that? Does that ring any bells for you guys? I feel like he mentioned Empire.
I'm sorry, I was reading Travis's comments, which I need to put out on the page here in a second.
That.
But you were saying, like, I mean, he did mention we have an Imperial
Empire.
review, and if you ever are so lucky to, like, which at the moment includes you, which is like you're on
There it
thin
is.
ice, buddy. Trust your instincts, mustache. Gosh, man, if only. Yeah, Travis aptly points out that when not read by Cyril Karn, it's a pretty good line. There comes a time when the risk of doing nothing becomes the greatest risk of all. And yes, in a vacuum,
I mean, that
is
sounds like
very...
something Luthen would say. I thought that the second time I watched this, like, this sounds like a speech if Luthen gave it would be inspiring, but it's actually just terrifying coming from
Nemec.
Cyril.
It's more Nemec, for sure, right? Yeah,
Delivery.
like, but
I
yeah,
mean,
Luthen's
Luthen's whole thing is doing something just to cause consequences. Tony Gilroy calls him an escalator. Like, that's his thing. He just escalates stuff to
for
get
sure.
it moving. Accelerationist, that's the word.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, like, there is a long and storied history, to your point, Travis, of like, there's a long and storied history of reactionaries using language that would in another context be very revolutionary to uphold oppression and the status quo, and that is what very clearly he's like, we're the enemy's at the gates, all these dirty people that we're gonna go in and terrorize, like, we're the real victims here, and it's just oh man, so very well executed. Travis also points out it's sad that the first time he leaves home, it's cutting to him leaving Ferrix. Yeah, very true. Okay, hold on. I can't. It would be easier to read this on the big screen. Marva rescued Cassian from what was at the time a bad place for a better life. Well, I mean, yeah, but except that's the thing she realizes later, though, and you're exactly right. But like, the whole galaxy is the bad place, right? Like, and it's a slow cooker that there's nowhere you can really go because you might escape for a little bit, but the temperature's rising everywhere, and Cassian finds that out, right? He leaves and he goes to Miami, and he gets arrested for walking while
for literally being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, 100%. And he gets rounded up for looking wrong, and arrested and sent to a prison in a foreign country without I don't know if there was a judge that tried to block it or not, but it happened. It's crazy. But anyway, it was probably over international space waters, so it didn't turn the ship around to Narkina. All right, continue
Sexiness.
on. The cops are here. They're
Toss the
there.
plate.
Luthen's there.
But then Cassian's like trying to talk to B2. He outs where he is. So now the cops
Yeah.
are converging. Andor is going to meet Luthen in the warehouse, and then they have that whole interesting interaction where Luthen's basically trying to recruit him as opposed to buy the Starpath unit, which I always like to point out when they throw out big numbers like that, he's offering to pay him something like 20,000 credits. 40,000 credits. I'm like, dang, you could have bought a starship for that. Could have bought 2 starships for that. That's like,
Yeah.
that's 3 times the sum that Han Solo owed that got him put in carbonite and a death sentence put on his head to the Hutt cartel.
And
Like that's a lot of money.
Isn't it just double what Omega meant and made gambling?
Sure, which should also make
The
that more
transitive-
impressive too.
Yeah, like all of it, man. I mean, it's just like, one, we know that they don't really pay attention to what things cost or whatever, because there's, 300,000 already with 1 million more well on the way or whatever it was. But but yes, those are always a lot of fun. It's a lot of money is the point but it is a sealed Starpath unit. Okay, the crystals are still intact.
Yeah,
I don't know what
It doesn't just
I don't know
happen.
what that is.
but I don't think anyway.
That's the point. It doesn't matter. That's
Being
why I
able to
love this
tell
show
if
so
you're a
much,
movement
because
Okay.
or something.
Filoni
Just
goes
checking
back.
in,
Like, this
just
is
making sure.
no, that's
You're
the
right. We have
point,
no idea
dude.
what it is.
It's
It's
great.
Technobabble.
It's great. It's great because so often in Star Wars, you get people that will stand there and just make all kinds of noise about, we don't know what this is or we don't know what that is. And it's like, you didn't know what a Alderaan was. You didn't know any of it. And now it's chunks, like, it's just, I don't know. It's great. When it's written
And
well,
more often
the
than
plot
not,
drives it.
when they try to explain all that stuff and make everything like interreferencing, more often than not, they write themselves into a corner and do something that conflicts with something else, and it's better not to worry about it too much.
Travis, you're exactly right. And I'm sorry for not being clear. Don't misunderstand. Reactionaries always think, or at least more often than not, the true believers, the foot soldiers, right? 100% believe they're in what they're doing. Like, there are very few charlatans in that make up the ranks, especially Cyril. Cyril is proof positive of that. That is the truest believer. He is the fanatic. So yeah, no, you're exactly right. And yeah, you're right about how no one cares about him either, which is, kind of gasoline on that fire sometimes too. He has all the people call him an incel, whatever. I don't know. We don't know. Maybe he's got game. We don't really get to see it, but cue the Cyril Dedra fan fictions that I'm sure are out there. Goodness gracious.
Oof.
How's Reba doing?
That's not even
Where's
much.
she at? What's she up to?
So mean.
That's random.
Is it to reference the thing that she loves and made a big point of being the champion of?
You were just
I didn't mean it as an
disparaging that
insult.
thing. You were just disparaging that thing.
No, it's just not for me. Like Captain Crunch. Anyway. Also agree with Andy that Tim's death sucked. He let his jealousy taint his good intentions, and you see a slow regret afterwards. Yeah, no, for sure. He's not a bad guy. He's not like that. Again, that's what I keep saying is like, there's not just mustache twirling villains except for maybe Wolf Yularen, but and he had all of the Clone Wars to get us to warm up to him. So we're all just like, only the baddest bad guy even has like, a hero's origin story. So no, this show is absolutely great with
I again would argue in retrospect, I don't even think that it was necessarily his jealousy that was the problem. Again, if you had a significant other and you found out their deadbeat ex was getting them involved in more stuff and that deadbeat ex had just murdered people, you might turn the guy in too. Just saying.
Maybe. Again, depends on the situation. I mean, I think that's what I said. Like, I'm not defending the murder of law enforcement, but I feel like if you're someone on Ferrix, I feel like everyone there would have an understanding that there's a difference between, there's probably nuance in he killed
Yeah.
2
No, that's fair.
cops. You know what I mean? Like it's not like
Yeah.
he.
I wasn't even thinking about
murdered
cops. I was just thinking
that,
people in general. To be
No,
fair,
I agree.
Didn't really
Like,
contextualize the
like
fact that you're right. They were probably cops, and everybody on that planet, especially Tim, should all recognize those. The Primor security guys are not good people, and they're not good guys. So
what I mean by
necessarily a
that
bad
is
deal, but-
I feel like it's not like they're bad people, they deserve to die. I'm saying Tim and most everyone else on that planet would have the context of being like, this wanted poster is probably not as it seems, even though and that's why I think the liquor was there for Tim to be, to kind of dull his senses, to be like, yeah, no, screw that guy, for like just long enough to screw it all up, Yeah, that's where I'm at. Travis keeps dropping bars here. Bodhi Rook.
I don't know if I
I'm
see the
having the
parallel personally, but
biggest blank right now. Who's Bodhi from Rogue One? Okay,
he's
thank
the
you.
pilot.
Yeah,
He's the pilot.
yeah,
I'm the pilot.
I'm the pilot. Thank you. I don't know if I see that either, brother. But I guess they're both
I don't think
a
both
little
broke.
dweebish, but
When his voice was heard, I think he was broke when he got his brain sucked out by a CGI
That's
octopus
fair.
monster.
Who got it?
Who got it?
Lies.
Lies.
Okay.
Deception.
Is there
Every day, more lies.
more lies? Is there anything else that remains that we need to talk about? In these 3 episodes.
We didn't really talk about the escape at all. So,
it's
they're
brilliant.
in the warehouse. Luthen apparently laid bombs on the door when he walked in, which is pretty cool. They get surrounded. He blows it up. They escape through a tunnel.
On the way in.
They're getting shot at and surrounded. The
decoy speeder was cool.
The intimidation from the entire town, sort of in general, was a really cool concept that they introduced. Just
that was very cool.
Sort of
and again,
the thing.
that's the thing, man. Like the slow cooker of it all, right? The slow cooking of. This is a good community. Like the things that Marva mentions in the end, right? Talking about we had each other, we looked out for each other. They left us alone. Like we're seeing that now. We're seeing how, Brazos. No, is that his name? I'm thinking of Only Murders in the Building.
Brasso?
What's Brasso? Thank you, Brazos. Brasso puts the cable on, right? Like that's implied, and then he crashes the whole ship, which was just a masterstroke of TV, and then also just the plot. It was great.
Well, that's when everything seems to go crazy too. Is when the ship blows up. Also, in
everyone
there at some
justifiably escalates, and it's great. And then you see Cyril get all shell shocked, and the sergeant taking over is just like, oh my gosh, we're all way over our heads now. And it was just every bit of it was excellent. And at the end of it, I think everyone knows there's no going back from this. This has definitely set a lot of things in motion here.
Is this the episode where Tim bites it too? I can't remember.
Yes. Yeah. Tim gets shot in this one.
So Bix gets sort of identified as not being a normal citizen because she's running the wrong direction. Everyone's running away from security, but she's clearly running to where the security are going. So they see her. They want to ask her questions. They cuff her. And then Tim, again, the misguided potentially, but loyal boyfriend, shows up and tries to protect her from these guys and ends up getting shot in the process.
Yep.
While she's chained to the wall and has to watch.
And look, judging, I mean, and that's the situation too, where as mad as I was at Tim, you can't he's not a uniquely evil character. He's not a uniquely stupid character.
If Andor wasn't the main character, we didn't know where he goes. I don't think we'd be as mad as Tim.
Yeah,
I think Tim
100%.
would be more.
I'm
Andor
sad.
was just another criminal.
100%. He definitely he is a tragedy in this, as are so many others, right? Tim is not. He didn't deserve what he got. You can argue that actions have consequences, but it's not like he did. He didn't deserve that. And
a lot of characters
supremely
don't deserve what happens. I didn't forget everything. I remember what happens to Bix.
Yeah.
The only other thing that happens
so
here,
much, man.
The only other thing that happens here that's important is that Cyril gets captured by Andor, and Luthen never sees Luthen. Does see Andor Andor takes his gun, which comes back up a lot later. He's carrying Steryl's gun like everywhere he goes now. And then, yeah, we get some cursing. We get some explosions.
Is it Cyril's gun that he carries? I assume you're right. I
Cyril's
assumed
gun.
it
He takes it
was
from him.
okay. Yeah,
That's
I
where he
thought
gets
it
the corporate
was.
security gun.
I assumed, perhaps definitely incorrectly,
In fact,
that it was.
He gives it to what's his name after Narkina 5 too.
Melshi.
Melchi. Yeah, he gives it to Melchi.
Yeah. I thought it was from one of the guys he murked in the beginning, though. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry.
You know what? You might be right. Now I'm second guessing myself. That does make sense too.
But either way,
Yeah, it is a corporate security gun.
we're back. We're back, Travis. But yes, excellent stuff all the way around. I really, really liked just so much about this. But again, in fairness, it's because I know where it's going, right? Like rewatching this, having the holistic view is a truly beautiful experience, and I cannot wait to see where season 2 goes, because I bet the few dangling threads that remain, i.e. all the Canary stuff, will probably get resolved as well. So very, very excited for that.
You're correct, Ed. It wasn't Cyril's gun. It was the guard that he killed at the beginning's gun.
Oh, shame. Either way, I mean, another thing we could point out that we really didn't, in defense of the Filoniisms of everything, that was the Briar pistol, which was from JLA 2 JLA Outcast. That's a Kyle Katarn gun, and I'm very familiar with it.
Well, okay, but that's not the gun. That's not the Primor gun. That is Andor's gun, which I believe was Clem's
his
gun.
Dad, Clem, yeah.
Yeah. He has two.
Well, stepdad.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I was just saying, it's cool to see that. It's
really
not
cool.
a completely Easter eggless show,
Yeah.
Andy, what about you? Anything else? Dangling threads, alibis, things you want to point out before we get the heck out of here? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Prepositions.
Are we just thoroughly excited for season 2? For so many shows, I mean, there's always an element of worry of like, are they going to screw up what I love about this show? Or do we just feel pretty confident and good about it?
I feel confident enough to say I'm extremely confident. But what makes me feel more confident is that even if it sucks, season 1 will be perfect. Like, there's no way you can ruin this for me.
I don't think it's
worst case. Worst case, they fail to pay off on the Canary stuff, and I skip it like Canto Bight in Last Jedi. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Like everything else, this is art. Like it is Kino, man. It's great. And but you're right. Like I can't wait for season 2. The sets, they talk about how big it is. And also I love me some Tony Gilroy. I mean, this dude, how he just like very publicly doesn't give a shit about Star Wars. It's awesome. And it's hilarious because he says all that stuff and you can't say anything about it because he's made the best Star Wars that we've gotten in a very long time. So it's like, if he was having a controversial project, then everyone would use that as reasons to show why Disney sucks now and all that stuff. But like, man, it's great. It's flawless. Yeah. Big ups to Tony Gilroy. And you can tell he's just very well read too. Like he talked about all the different things that inspired this show, in history and all this other stuff. And it's very apparent. Like he does such a great job of illustrating the complexities of Revolution. And, we'll get there with some of the just delightful monologues later on. But nothing is clean. Like it's not all Mon Mothma in episode 6. Like that's what we all want of our leaders, but that's not what any of us got. Take any figure in history, they all have these sides to them, and if they don't, they die like Nemec, and it's just the sad reality for all of us to remember. But yeah. Michael.
And off topic, Revenge of the Sith 25th anniversary coming up and will be in theaters. I'm so excited. I'm pumped. I never seen that movie in theaters.
Dude, so pumped. That's the first movie I saw, And obviously the best one, right? Like, there's not really much debate there, and if there is, there doesn't have to be. No, I'm very, very excited. That's a well pointed out, Andy. Thank you. Yeah, we would have been remiss if we didn't mention that. Michael, do you have anything that you want to say before we peace on out?
I wanted to acknowledge Travis's comment about, he said we don't know how Cassian didn't die charging those clones. I think that's how he ended up in jail the first time, Travis. I think that was implied, although, as we pointed out, not a lot is said all the time. But if you're referring to the flashback, I'm pretty sure that was how he ended up in jail and why he has a criminal record the first time, was because he was charging the clones after they killed his dad.
Yeah.
Other thing, I wanted to say, Andy, what's on your shirt? It looks cool.
It's okay.
That's pretty
Dude,
cool.
that's sick. That's very cool.
It says, hangs with bounty hunters.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice.
Love
It's
it.
just
Mine
another
says
Grogu.
Wrangler.
Just another Grogu mom shirt for me to enjoy.
Hell yeah. All right. Well,
I got nothing else. Excited to talk about the rest.
this was awesome. I missed y'all. I think we're gonna get Taylor back. If not next time, then the time after that. We will make every effort to be back. I don't want it to be as long as it was last time. The plan is to do one of these a week, get through Andor season 2 together, talk about it all, and then I am going to probably make my cross-country move. So we'll probably put a pin in it for a little while, but hopefully we can make it there. Travis, it's good to have you back, and thanks again, brother.
And thanks for staying active in the Discord. I love
100%,
checking
man.
up on everything.
You're the best. Book club, yes. I would really love to. If we all get through this, I'd really love to do an episode on this book. I think it's got the meat, and I'm excited to get into it. So, yeah, big ups to Alexander Freed and Andy. I know you're not in a Star Wars book space right now, but someday you gotta work back around to Alphabet Squadron, because man,
You will love those characters.
You will really love it. If Michael and I both say that this emphatically, it's good. It's good.
I'm not ruling anything out. I'm into it. I think I have the book. I think I got it for free at the library, and it's in a box somewhere. So the first book.
Trilogy.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The
We'll say that bitch a trilogy. Whatever 2 Chainz said. Was it 2 Chainz? I'm still white. All right. Love you guys. This has been fun. This has been
On program.
And we will see you someday. I used to say next week. I used to. And then I disappear for months at a time. Who knows when he's going to be back? We don't know. That's why you have to subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment. Tell me what you liked about Andor Season 1, Episodes 1, Episode 2, Episode 3. Was it Luthen? Was it B2 Emo? Was it the Kenari flashbacks? We all know it was the Kenari flashbacks. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's always a hoot and a half, and we will see you next time.
On program.